everybody, welcome in today to A Glitch in the Matrix. I am so glad you guys are here. I have another fantastic show for us today. I have my new friend, Jock Doubleday, in the studio. Jock and I met at the Journey to Truth conference in Grafton, Illinois, a couple of weeks ago. And I got to say, his presentation was my absolute favorite. I mean, all of the presentations were amazing. I think Jock took the cake in my book. Okay. We're going to be talking about some of the things that he discussed during his presentation here on the show today. And it involves not only hidden history, okay, archaeological things that are going on, who built the earth really, okay, oh man, y'all, there's so much to unpack. We're also going to be talking about the stone titans, sleeping giants, and even throw in some Bosnian pyramid information today, I believe. And we might even touch on Nikola Tesla. I don't know. We're going to see what all we get to. It's going to be a great, wonderful, fun show today. If you guys would like to follow along with everything that I do, all my shows, I know it's a lot. I'm a busy lady. And I have some fantastic shows. Go to my website. That's the cryptidhuntress.com. Okay. You guys can find all of my shows, all of my events there. And where I'm going to be, I think my next event is my public event will be the Dogman Conference. That's out in Fort Worth, Texas, Labor Day weekend, September 1st through the 3rd. Okay. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing, you guys can join my Patreon. The Patreon really goes along with my remote viewing show that I do every Thursday night. I post all of my data there for all these wild targets that I get. And so you can get all the inside scoop on what's really going down, things that I can't even talk about on air. Okay, because I'll get shut down if I talk about some of that stuff. So you can go join my Patreon. Also, ooh, I have something to send my Patreon members this month. I got some new merch in. Okay, so you guys, you like stickers and things like that. It's I got some Cryptid Huntress merch. I'm going to be taking that stuff around to the events that I'm at too. So yeah, y'all get your Cryptid Huntress merch. Okay. Let's see. Oh, also, I have a shop. It's called War Woman Goods. You guys, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to everybody who has supported my shop. It really keeps me going here on air and helps me out. That's my fundraiser right there. Okay. All right. Well, and tomorrow night, oh, I got to tell y'all, I have a really great show. I have remote viewed the property of my friend Farah. She has a podcast called The Conversation Cabin. I'm going to be going there with a team of investigators in the next week or two. Okay, we're going to go to her property. She has a lot of scary stuff going on there. And she's going to come on. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow. We'll go over a little bit of my data before we head out to her property. And then, of course, when we do the investigation, we're going to come back and we're going to have a follow-up with Farah and the team. Some of these guys that are going to be there with us. Yeah, it's an operation, y'all. It's going to be a good time. Okay. Well, without further ado, let me get to my guest because Jock is amazing. Let me go over his bio, and I'm going to pull up some of his links as I'm reading his bio, so you guys can go follow Jock. Okay, Jock Doubleday is an American writer, researcher, stoneworker, and videographer. For 16 months in 2014 and 2015, and for additional 3 months in 2017, he worked as the official videographer for the Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, a nonprofit Bosnian NGO foundation created on November 9th, 2005 in Sarajevo, Bosnia-Herzegovina. Doubleday's latest articles on the Bosnian pyramids and the other ancient megalithic monuments and civilizations can be found at An American in Bosnia.wordpress.com. His earliest articles can be found at, and I know I'll pull these back up at the end of the show, y'all. An American in Bosnia.blogspot.com. His Bosnian archaeology videos can be found on the Bosnian Pyramids YouTube channel, and his continental terraforming videos and other archaeologically related videos can be found on his personal YouTube channel. I think I have that right here. And his book in progress, Who Built the Earth? An Exploration of Geological, Geophysical, Seismological, and Astrophysical Evidence for an Earth Constructed by an Advanced Race or Races in the Distant Past, will be published soon. And if you guys want to get in touch with Jock, here's his email address. I'm going to pull all this back up at the end of the show. So please help me welcome to A Glitch in the Matrix today, Jock Doubleday.
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, Jock. Thank you so much for being here today. I've been looking forward to this like you couldn't believe.
Well, that's quite an introduction. I really appreciate your words on the conference presentation. That was my first, public presentation, and it was a little bit. I was really, really, really stressed. I wasn't nervous. I was just stressed that I wouldn't do the right job because I wanted to enter the artificial Earth, artificial continents theories into the scientific record in a formal way. Tyler and Aaron were kind enough to allow the presentation of this wacko theory about the Earth that says that the building of the continents came before the geological fossil beds and things like that were composed, the beds being composed of the granules that were eroded from the original continental concrete. So over millions and millions and millions and billions of years, this eroded material became sedimentary layers that then could give us the chronology of life, and that's wonderful. So the geological forces would come later. So the theory of geology, in essence, is then next to the theory of the artificial continents, and they can work together without a problem. Then this is going to this idea of the eroded continental material, that slow erosion of material. What happens to that stuff? Well, we're going to get into that with the stone beings.
Oh, wow. And what I find super duper interesting is that you're not even, I don't believe you're an archaeologist trained in that or a geologist, but you just have such an interest in this. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay. That really stood out when you were giving your presentation. I thought, man, the information you're putting out, it seems like something that all geologists should be talking about, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know how like most people, I think, on the planet love little rocks that are like, they'll find an agate and it's translucent. They're like, wow, it's beautiful. And they pick it up, and they collect rocks, and then they become adults and they're like, well, I got to make some money, and they forget about the rocks, but they still love looking at pictures of gems and crystals. Well, that's what I did when I was a kid. I got a rock polisher, and I was polishing agates that I found, and I was reading magazines about how to find agates, and you know what I mean? It's just they're beautiful. I mean, the crystalline material of our Earth is astounding. It takes so many varied forms and so many beautiful, manifestations. So the thing about amateurs in any science, I think many scientists have actually talked about this. Because we're not trained, we don't have the same presuppositions that the academics do. Sometimes that's not so good because we don't have the language to talk about the things we're seeing. But sometimes it can be good because we can have outside the box ideas about the subjects that we're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have a fresh set of eyes to it, and you're not indoctrinated into whatever they're teaching. That might not all be 100%, fact or whatever, I guess.
Well, I think the key really is it's because the geologists do have a really good detailed analysis of minerals and things like that, and it's fantastic. They've done so much work, but you see, their foundational premise is, as the foundational premise in all sciences is that we are the first advanced race in the universe. They get this idea from NASA. In fact, they have NASA has a little blurb about astrobiology, and they're like, have we found any, are we the only life in the universe? And NASA goes, well, we're looking hard, but right now we've only found life of any kind, even bacterial life, on Earth. And it's like, okay, so that's academia's formal scientific authority on the idea of advanced races. No, there are no advanced races so far. We're looking hard though. That's NASA. So that filters down through, and we all go through the academic system from kindergarten on, and we know without even really being told. It's a tacit assumption. We know we're the first advanced race. We just happen to be the lucky race, the lucky species that raised its head above the muck and mire totally by accident. It just, consciousness happened, and we're the first ones. And we're the first ones because we're in a young universe. And it's plausible for us to imagine that because we're in a young universe, the Big Bang only happened 13.8 billion years ago, we're told, then it's plausible for us to imagine that we're the only race, we're alone as far as a sentient, self-aware, conscious race. And if we're the first race, then there was no one out there to build anything. Planets, suns, galaxies. There was no one to genetically engineer life, to bring life to planets. We didn't do any of that. There was no one else to do it. Therefore, everything we see in the universe, planets, suns, galaxies, ferns, animals, all of it must have come into existence through natural forces. That's where that false premise leads.
Wow. Like it just showed up one day, and the Big Bang and stuff. And it keeps our minds kind of small in the big scheme of things, because we're indoctrinated, we're taught, it's in our school books. NASA's a whole different story, right? We could do a whole show on that.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
A lot of things are just covered up and hidden.
Well, that's why the Truman Show is such a great disclosure, because we are living the Truman Show. I mean, we're him. He was being told, you have to be afraid of the ocean. Don't go anywhere, Truman. Don't leave Sea Haven, was the little town, because if he left, he'd see the edge of the set that he's in. So if we go searching for a galactic family, we're going to see that we've been living in a damn matrix, a thought control matrix, our whole lives.
Yeah, we have been, but we're trying to bust out of that right now, Jock. And and we're all. I find it very interesting that a lot of us are all talking about different aspects of the cover-ups and the hidden history, and you got a archaeological stance and geological, and I'm looking at cryptids and how the cryptids have been hidden from us, and just the truth. I mean, there's just so many aspects, so many facets to this topic of hidden history, and our true history and where we came from. Could we have been seeded here from another planet? It's just fascinating to me. And during your presentation, I was really blown away by the rock formations, okay, and how they had seams in it as though it had been manufactured or something, like some of these mountains. And that's all I look at now when I go to the mountains and I pass a mountainside. I look for those 45-degree angles, and marks.
There are interesting angles that any of us on a hike, we notice them, but because we have this idea that everything came into existence through natural forces, we don't really ask the question. We don't say, hey, I wonder if someone built that, because it's too large scale. It's like, first of all, who could do that? Who could build a continent? Who could build even one mountain? It's just, where would they get the material? How would they do it? Who would do it? We're the only ones in the universe, so we didn't do it. What's the purpose? Why would anyone build continents? It's crazy. Just let them come into existence through natural forces. Let dust motes form into dust bunnies in the protoplanetary disk around the sun, and the dust bunnies will form your planet for you. That's their idea. It's like, it's so crazy if we really think about it. It's so much more sensible to think that planets were built, but we have to get out of this box that we're the first advanced race, because we're the last advanced race and we're not that advanced.
Right. Well, and we're seeing that now through all these, UFO sightings, and so for some of us, it's hard to believe that all these are organic at this point, because we know that there's an active attempt to discredit, to put some fake stuff out there to us, And by the way, I want to say thank you so much to Dave Scott, Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for that super chat, Dave. I'm a big fan of Dave Scott as well. So thank you, Dave. Thanks for being here. That's my brethren at Spaced Out Radio.
Yeah. Is this part of Spaced Out Radio, or what?
Jock, I'm a weekend host at Spaced Out Radio. So,
Right.
and Dave, this is actually my channel show today.
Okay.
So I do different shows on different channels. So today we're on the Cryptid Huntress channel. Yeah, but I'm definitely a part of Spaced Out Radio. So
Right,
that's
right,
Dave. He's just in here supporting us today.
right.
Yeah.
I got a tiny little funny story because comedy is always good when you're dealing with crazy subjects.
Totally.
Because you got to relax the audience because they get stressed out if people get stressed out if you start talking crazy.
That's why I joke so much. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's good for it's good for us and the audience.
It is.
Okay, the funny story, which is one sentence, is that I wrote Spaced Out Radio with my theory a year ago and it didn't hear back.
Well, you know what? I think that Dave will have to get you on his show there, and you'll have to come on my show too sometime.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm shocked that anybody ever got back to me. I'm shocked that Tyler and Aaron got back to me. I didn't expect anybody to say, hey, that makes some sense. Let's have them on the show. It's absurd. It's crazy. Someone's building planets. It's madness, I tell you.
Well, it makes all the sense to me. And you know what else is interesting is that we had people from the secret space program at that conference, like Tony Rodriguez and James Rink. I just got off the phone with James Rink right before the show. Tony and Daryl James, Tony talks about how he was used to build stars.
That's right.
During his program that he was in. So that's artificial star making, I guess you could call it, right?
I mean, he's got his book coming out, or it just came out, 3 weeks ago, Project Star Maker. I mean,
that's right.
He worked for, what was it? Was it 5 years or 10 years? I think, was
20.
It 10?
He was there for 20. Oh, I don't know if he worked there exactly. He was in the program for 20, he said.
Right, he was in the 20 and back, but then they stole him from the 20 and back before he was about to go back to his real life, as a kid here on Earth, and he went for either 5 or 10 years.
They doubled it, so it was 10. He went 5 and then another 5, I think. And yeah, and it was devastating to him. Yeah, it was terrible.
30 years out of his life. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it isn't. It is. But okay, so what? And I know some people are on the fence about the secret space program and things like that. Now, I have met these people in person. I 100% believe they're credible. I do believe them. And I what if, let's just put it out there, Jock, like, what if that's true? Okay. Right. Like what if Bigfoot's real? Okay. What if our mountains were, Terra was terraformed, okay, by some off-planet beings or whatever? What if? Just be open to the idea and listen to some of these theories that people have and their personal experiences. I think it would really elevate the consciousness of this planet. And you know what that does? It makes us less controllable. Okay, so
well, I think the key to finding out, or the key to opening the mind enough to find out what's really going on in any realm of information is I think one of the best keys is to look at the testimonials of the secret space program insiders, the people who say they were in a secret space program. And if you go, okay, I'm going to look at what was his name, one of the original guys. Anyway, I'll think of his name in a second. So you look at one fellow's testimonial and you go, well, that's just some stories. I mean, science fiction writers make this stuff up all the time. Could just be made up. And then you look at another testimonial and you see that there's a little bit of interlocking quality to the two stories. Occasionally they sort of merge and go, oh, so wait, they're both saying the moon is hollow and it's artificial and it was brought here and it's actually a weaponized spacecraft. They both said that in their testimonials. That's weird. Then you look at 100 testimonials and they all eventually you see that there's always interlocking qualities, and it's not just two stories interlocking, it's 100 stories interlocking in all these complex ways. And you're like, what do these people have to gain from putting themselves out for ridicule in front of the entire populace of the planet, saying all these crazy things, and then what's there? Cui bono? Who benefits? Well, they don't benefit. They get crucified by people who say you're just crazy. You're trying to make money, and what money are you making? Maybe you sell a few books with your testimonial in. But the key is that the testimonials corroborate. They agree with each other, and that forms a really strong net of credible information, because all testimonials are evidence. It's just a question of how compelling they are. If you just look at one testimonial, you go, well, that's just a story. That's not compelling evidence. It is evidence, but it's not compelling to me. Well, 100 testimonials that interlock, that is compelling scientific evidence.
Absolutely. And you know what I found very interesting is that through some of my remote viewing data that of some targets I had done on cryptids, I was coming up with secret space program data. And so when I was able to present some of that at that conference, I was finding that it was supporting what some of the secret space program claims were. Okay. And so in some of those locations, so it all melds together in some really wild way, what we're all doing.
Aren't your cryptids in general, your cryptids?
My crypt, they all belong to me.
It's a family.
It's a family. We're a big family. Big hairy family.
Yeah, big hairy, sometimes dangerous, sometimes friendly family. These beings are another key to unlocking the truth about the world, not our third density 3D matrix world, which is a controlled world, a contained world, but the levels outside of that, the dimensions or densities of frequency, the different frequencies of existence outside the third density existence that we live in. So these cryptids can become invisible to us. They're not invisible to themselves when they become invisible. They can still see each other because they're in a density, let's say fifth density, where they can exist and see each other and interact with each other outside of our perception. That's all. It's just a question of perception. David Icke says this all the time. Our band, the frequency band, the frequency spectrum that we use is about like this. And some animals have abilities outside of our little tiny spectrum, like bats can use sonar and dolphins can use sonar, so that extends the spectrum a bit for creatures on our planet. But there's all sorts of frequencies outside of our little third density frequency spectrum realm that we live in, the matrix as they call it.
That's right. I mean, I've always said I think that Bigfoots and other cryptids can be completely interdimensional beings, but I also think that there's something to do with the rods and the cones in our eyes. We just don't have the capability to see them at times, and they do come in and out of our vision. So I've seen that personally happen between someone who was standing beside me who could not see orbs, and I could see them. With my son could see them too.
Okay.
But not everybody is on the frequency. I think it has a lot to do with frequency, Jock. Too, like what frequency we're on and what frequency these cryptids are on.
Do you mean like how you're feeling that day, or feeling love when you go to see the orbs, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Potentially, yes.
Right.
That's what I think. Because I've experienced it, and the person that couldn't see him was very low vibe. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well,
yeah.
When I was in Bosnia, Ravne Tunnel has all sorts of orbs in it, and they'd always show up on the camera. Like I couldn't see them. Almost very few people could see them in the dark there, but because of the dark background of most of the tunnel locations, when there is a little artificial light bulb above a megalith or something in this tunnel in the Bosnian Pyramid complex. When the orbs were in that light against the dark background, you could see them for a second, or sometimes the light from the camera or the phone light itself would illuminate the orb against the dark background, and then you could see it. And sometimes you see these streaming clouds of orbs. And I've got all these videos on my Bosnian Pyramids channel if you guys want to check it out. There's one called Dr. Semir Osmanagic talks about orbs in Ravne Tunnel. Just go to Bosnian Pyramids, you can find all those. And so as he's talking, I cut to all these videos that people have taken of like wild orb manifestations in the tunnels, and people go, oh, it's dust. And it's like, well, if you've been in Ravne, and I've been in there 200 times because I was there for 23 months, and I went in there like every third day. I'd be filming or taking photos in there, or talking to tourists or Semir or somebody in there. And I know for a fact, and anyone who goes in there knows for a fact, that there's no wind in Ravne. There's only one entrance. There's no exit. So there's no way for wind to move through there. So all this stuff that's flying around, there's no wind. So how is dust doing anything if the air is just sitting there? Why is the dust going like this and moving in these huge clouds of luminous, disks? So it's not dust. And by the way, it's really damp in there. There's no really damp. There's no dry. There's no way the dust would just stick to all the wet. Everything's wet. So it's not dust. It's definitely orbs. And then you go, what are orbs? Well, Semir talks about it. He says that they're conscious beings that seem to be attracted by activity. So when for instance, the foundation workers are excavating the tunnels, they'll be attracted to that work, and they'll just be like hanging around. You've seen the photos of like yogis with a big orb right over the top of their head or something, it's a huge orb. And it's like, interesting. So they're attracted to these high, what people call spiritual, but loving, let's say, loving, open, high loving energy people. Oh, okay. The people working in the tunnels are doing wonderful sort of selfless, humanity serving work. So they're in a good mood. They're laughing with each other, and the orbs come to that. They like that. Maybe if you come in and you're fearful and anxious, maybe they won't come. Maybe you won't see them in the photos or in the videos. But I think someone like you, who has maybe some kind of extra ability to see things, as some people do, then maybe you could see them without the camera.
Yeah. Well, there's certain people who, when you we see pictures of them, especially back in the day when we had to get our film, even digital pictures, I guess. Some people just seem to have more orbs around them in pictures. And,
right.
I've been there at some point. Yeah. I used to have a lot of orbs and pictures around me. And I always attributed that to my passed over loved ones, like it had to have been somebody that, died, and they're just hanging out around me. But Jock, I would love to hear more about the Bosnian pyramids. Since we're on this topic, can you explain to my audience exactly what the Bosnian Pyramid complex is, and what took you there?
In 2011, the summer of 2011, when I didn't believe in ETs, I had a couple of friends talk about UFOs, and they had stories, and I believed them, but I didn't know what to do with that information. I was like, well, I want to see a UFO, and then I'll dive in. But I didn't know what to do with those stories. I was like, well, but aren't we just alone? I didn't get it. I didn't get how they could have seen these amazing things, And so I was open, but I wasn't a believer at all in advanced races at all. So I went to the Bosnian Pyramid Complex to volunteer because I was excited about it. I was like, wow, pyramids in Bosnia, cool. I'm excited, And so we did that thing, and the volunteer program had been started in 2010. So it was the second year, and it's so much fun. 4 months of people coming from all over the world to help for free. They pay their airfare, they pay their hotel, they dig for free, and they're happy and sweaty and dirty. And I would film them. I'd put them on video up on my little amateur camera and put videos up. And Semir liked these videos, so he invited me back to be a videographer a couple of years later. And it was like, okay, cool. I'll get a professional camera. I'm a writer, but I'll do my best with a really good camera. So that happened. So it just kept coming there. And eventually I wondered, because I'm waking up every day in the pyramid complex, and for some reason, the energy of the complex would allow me to wake up after 5 hours of sleep instead of 8 hours of sleep and feel good. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just zoom out onto the land and see what's happening. It's like, this is cool. And but the people in Bosnia didn't necessarily believe that it was a pyramid complex. They're living on the side of the biggest pyramids documented in the world. And they're like, they didn't really care one way or another, because all these tourists, these Europeans and Americans and Australians are coming and going, hey, it's pyramids, isn't it wonderful? And they're like drinking their cafe, and they're like, I don't know about it. They don't care. So they're just living in that little town on the side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun right there. We're looking at the north side of the Pyramid of the Sun right now. Behind it is the Pyramid of Love, which is kind of a flat topped structure that's low kind of behind it. So the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the largest documented pyramid on the planet, except for Rtanja Mountain, which is actually a pyramid. It's a three-sided mountain or pyramid in Serbia. So anyway, but Rtanja is not as well documented as the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. But anyway, so between those two pyramids in that picture, there's a little river that goes through. It's the Foinica River. So down on the very left, you'll see where most of the houses are in the little corner on the left. There's a river that goes through, and it's this placid, meandering river. And you can see that the side, so we're looking at the northern face, but the eastern side of the Pyramid of the Sun goes all the way down to the riverbed. And one day I thought, well, this is interesting, because Semir measured the height of the pyramid from the bottom of that dark green forest. He said, where it hits the hill, that's where I'm going to measure the height. And it was still much taller than the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau, 220 meters. And so Great Pyramid is only 147. So I said, why don't we measure it from the riverbed? Because it looks like it goes from the east side, goes all the way down to the riverbed. That looks like the foundation. So if you measure it from the riverbed, it's about 380, 390 meters, which is way bigger than the 147 meters of the Great Pyramid, for instance. Anyway, so I thought one day in 2015, I thought I'm going to go down to the riverbed, and I've got two photos I can show you. Can I share screen?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do I share screen? Let's see. Oopsie.
Is there a button? I don't know on your end.
Yeah,
it should be a button. This is present, I believe, and if you can find that.
Oh, present. Okay. Present.
I should have gone over this before we did the show. I forgot.
No, that's good. I saw it. I found it. Okay. Let's see. Don't share screen. Share screen. Allow stream.
It may come up, and I have to pull it up. If you can share it, and then I'll pull it up on the screen for us.
Sharing. Allow. Oh, let's see. Ooh. Select window or screen. StreamYard. Yay! I think it's gonna work. Yay! Okay.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, here I'm going to pull this up, and yeah.
Super.
Let's see.
All right. Let me just. Okay, I'll just do a quick full screen thingamadoodle. Okay, can you guys see that?
Well, it's showing our screens inside of screens right now. I think you've got the wrong one pulled up there. Here, let me remove it until we get it back, the right one up there.
Let's see. Hold on.
Okay.
So let's see. Enter full screen. Does that work?
I think it's still showing. It's showing you and I right now on the screen. So let's see.
Huh. How do I do this? Oh, let's see. Can I send you a file?
Sure, absolutely. You want to put it in the private chat? Can you upload it there?
I think so. Let's see. Let's see if I
put it in the private chat, and then I'll pull the picture up.
Boom. Let's see if that works. Comments.
Okay.
Those are comments. Okay. Stop. Let's see. Stop screen. Chat with everyone. I'm trying to share this, but it doesn't seem to take it in private chat.
Well, you know what? Send it to me anywhere, wherever you can send it to me on Facebook, wherever.
Okay.
We'll get it. As long as I get it, I can get it up there.
Right. I'm just going to, because what I'm going to show you is a picture of the riverbed. I'm going to send it on Facebook real quick. And so we're going to see the angle of the construction of the riverbed of the Foinica River. So that's one. And then we'll get another one. Let's see. Foinica. So this is going to be, and it's going to show the diagonal construction that they used, 45-degree diagonal. Here's a couple that I just sent you. Okay, and I'm going to send you one more. Actually, let's send you some more. There it is. Boom. That's the Voynitsa. There's also a collage I sent you from different places around the world. And
Okay.
also sending you a couple from different riverbeds. There's 2 more from different riverbeds in Texas. So those will take just a moment to come through. They're just uploading. Sorry for this little
It's
glitch
okay.
matrix.
Well, hey, listen, we're called a glitch in the
Yeah.
matrix. Okay, so this is
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're all about over here. It's a Cryptid Hunter show. Yeah, I'm
And
just.
you said
Go ahead.
You said be the glitch, right?
I said what? I'm sorry, my computer glitched. What did you say?
You said be the glitch. In
Be
your
the
graphics
glitch. That's
there,
right. You're taking. We take that seriously here. We are the glitch.
Yeah,
the glitch in the
I
matrix.
totally agree. We should be the glitch. I mean, the glitch is where it's at. The glitch is the cool place to be, actually.
It is. And Jock, I got to tell you, while we're waiting for those pictures to come through, we have several people from the Journey to Truth conference in the chat today, including our friend Barry Littleton. Barry is in here, and yes, Barry enjoyed your presentation as well. Everybody did, Jock. It was amazing, and we all had a really good time listening to you. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I'm still waiting for those pictures to come in. Do you want, while we're waiting for that, do you want to? Oh, wait, here they are. I got them. Hold on. Here they come. They all came in at once. Okay. Let me download real quick.
I'm looking at all the comments, all these great comments. Yeah, all these positive people. Nice. There's Barry, there's Amy, there's Enzo, Kira. Kira has a lot of comments. Hi, Kira. Donna Spencer. Yeah, Donna's got some comments.
Yeah, Donna, I'm gonna bring you on my show, Donna. Okay. We're gonna get Donna on Spaced Out Radio too, and she's got a lot of interesting stories. I'll send you my information. Go to my website, thecryptidhuntress.com, and you can send me a message through there, Donna. But I have we're friends on Instagram, so we're gonna make it happen. Okay.
And Walking Lightly 369 hides in long grass. That's a great one. Ryan, all these cool people. Paranormal Pixie. Yeah, Heidi Pop. Woohoo!
Heidi.
Okay, well, anyway.
Hey, Heidi.
So,
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me just open these up right quick, and we'll get to it. Yeah, the Bosnian Pyramid. Okay, so I have actually remote viewed the Bosnian Pyramid complex, and I don't have my data here in front of me, but I did most definitely I remote viewed that, and I believe I may or may not have sent that target to another remote viewing team. So and I haven't gotten the data back yet.
Okay.
So I was really interested to hear about the Bosnian complex from you, the Bosnian Pyramid complex.
Well, it was funny because I was there for 17
months. I can't wait to get into these. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh no, you go ahead. My computer's glitchy because I'm uploading pictures. So you go ahead.
Okay, well, just so people know, I was there for 17 months before I even thought about the riverbed as a foundation for the pyramids. So because I thought, well, would the ancients just set their pyramids on the earth next to a river that could flood and take the pyramids out from the side? Or would they more likely build their foundations down and in essence join the pyramids to each other through the riverbed? So therefore they're building from the riverbed up. They're saying, we're going to have the water go through here. We're going to create the course of the water, and then we're going to build up from our riverbed, creating a mega structure that could never be eroded from the side, because the water is running over the top of the structure. It looks like it's running over the top of a natural riverbed, but it's not. It's running over the top of an artificial foundation for the pyramids. So this was sort of just an idea that I had after 17 months of being there. You'd think I would come up with that earlier, but because it was so obvious from the topography of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun coming all the way down to the riverbed. But anyway, so I made a video in August 2015, got the photos, and it's built in the same way as the Pyramid of the Sun. So what they did was they used alternating clay layers in the riverbanks, both sides of the river, Fojnica River, and the Bosna River, which joins the Fojnica right there in Visoko. So they built both riverbeds, water courses. And so in the riverbanks, you can see the building, because there had been floods that came through there, and we took out the foliage and took out the sides. So that's the riverbed. Now that's not the riverbanks, that's the riverbed. So what we see is 45-degree angle sectioning, and the 45-degree angle sectioning is composed of clay layers, baked, adhered clay layers, pure clay. Not sandstone, not shale, not all this crazy stuff that geology students will write and say it's shale. No, it's not. It's pure clay. And I show that on video. Just go to my Bosnian Pyramids channel and just go through all those videos. So these are adhered to each other. There's no soft earthquake mitigating clay layers in the riverbed itself, because if there were soft earthquake mitigating clay layers in the riverbed, the water would take out the soft clay, and then the hard structural layers would collapse. The soft layers, the soft earthquake mitigating clay layers that alternate with the hard layers, start up on the riverbank away from the hard, strong force of the water. So, but you do see within let's say 2 meters up from the bottom of the riverbed, you'll see the beginning of super thin, soft clay layers that give the earthquake mitigation that they needed to keep their pyramids strong. So this is the foundation of pyramids. There's a pyramid on the one side of it called the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, and also a hill called Osiela Hill. And on the other side, there's the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So this is the foundation for the 2 largest pyramids on the planet. So now once you see that, then you go, hey, I wonder what else is, how far does this building go? How far does the riverbed, is it built?
Yeah.
Now, this is the Blanco River. This is the Blanco River in Texas. So as I went outside the complex in Bosnia, I found that I couldn't find an end to the building. And then I thought, I wonder if other riverbeds are built. So everywhere I went, I would explore the riverbeds, and I kept finding this 45-degree angle sectioning. And I thought, wow, this is cool that they have 45-degree angle building. Must be some reason for it. It must be for structural strength. I mean, what else would it be for? So then just after the conference, I was talking to Tyler, and I thought, hey, I think I figured out the reason for the 45-degree angle sectioning. It's because you get a longer section of concrete. So they lay their concrete slabs, and you can have the longest possible section is the 45-degree angle section. The ones that go all the way across the riverbed, this is the Sabinal River in Texas. So the longest possible slab you can get is 45-degree angle. The shortest possible one would be a right angle across the riverbed. So when I talk about 45-degree angle, I'm talking about 45 to the flow. And if I say right angle, I'm talking about right angle to the flow. So all these are 45 to the flow that you see. And so this is their general primary angle. And I found this on 3 continents. So the reason the geologists missed this, and the reason that everybody else missed it, is because of their premise that we're the first advanced race. None of this could be built because we didn't build it, and there was no one else to build riverbeds. So once you get rid of that premise, and once you ask the question, is it possible that what I'm looking at is artificial? Then you go, well, let's see what the evidence says. Well, here's some evidence that it looks natural. And here's some evidence that looks artificial. And you gather evidence for one thing or the other. Geologists are not doing that. They know it's natural. They know it's natural because we're the first advanced race. We didn't build the damn continents. Cheers.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm trying to pull up these other two pictures right now. And my computer is just, it's nice and slow today. I am experiencing a crazy storm right now too. That's beating on the entire roof. So let's see. All right, I may have to abandon ship on that one because it's making my computer freeze up, Jock. So I'm sorry, those last 2 pictures.
45-degree angle. So the river's going this way, and all it does is show 45s on different continents in riverbeds. So anybody who wants to go find that can find it. It doesn't mean that every angle is going to be 45. It means that the primary angle is 45-degree angles, and then there are oftentimes right angles and 70-degree angles, largely. So the building's obvious once we ask the question, you know.
Oh, whoops, I'm muted. I just noticed. Yes,
Oh,
it does. It's me. It's me. I've got a storm hitting my house really hard right now, and so I figured maybe it was going to make it where you guys couldn't hear me talk. So, so I hit that mute button. But yeah, it does. It defies logic in our 3D reality here. Okay, as to where all these angles are coming from, and also those seams in the mountains that you were showing us in your pictures.
right.
It didn't make sense. And now every time I ride past a mountainside, I'm looking for those seams now with those angles and those straight edges.
Right. Well, the thing about the vertical seams in sedimentary material, for instance, let's look at two types of material: igneous, which is molten, right? And let's look at sedimentary. So let's say if you have some molten rock, granite or something like that, and it's got vertical lines through it in sections. So it's like a section here, and it's joined at these seams, what I call seams. Then you go, how is nature creating a vertical line or even a horizontal line that's straight through igneous material? If it's igneous, it's molten, there shouldn't be any straight lines through any of it. As far as sedimentary material goes, sediments are falling, they're creating a layer. So we understand the horizontal line. All these horizontal layers, this geometry is understandable to us if it's as a natural feature, because for 10,000 years you've got certain kind of sediment coming down, then there's a volcanic eruption, you got a certain other kind of sediment, different layers. Okay, we get it. Why are there section lines that go through many different layers of sedimentary material?
Yeah.
How could nature make one straight line that transverses this 10,000 year period, this 1,000 year period, this 20,000 year period, and it's one line that goes through all those? Say, what now? Nature ain't doing that. So because we asked the question, because we freed ourselves from the false premise that we're the first advanced race, and therefore allowed the idea into our minds that there might be advanced races out there who could build planets, and wouldn't that be fun to build planets, by the way? And wouldn't you spend time doing that, creating planets, creating a place where things could live? It's like a little experiment. It's fun, you know. It's like a terrarium, you know.
We're a little alien terrarium, is what we are down here.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, speaking of aliens too, Amy made a comment in the chat. She said vibrations between minerals was a theory that helped Tesla, and I was going to ask you today, potentially ask you about Tesla. Maybe being from Venus, from another planet.
Right. Well, there's a lot of information on this. You can go to my article which also has a video called "Was Nikola Tesla Brought Here from Venus? FBI declassified document." So you can see that there's already a lot of information about Tesla being from Venus. Then I was talking to Vanessa Lisle, Lisle. She's Vanessa Crystal Consciousness on YouTube. And she was saying, yeah, Tesla was brought here as a baby, put in a field, and his parents, you know, his soon-to-be parents, were directed to find him there in Smiljan, Croatia. And back then it was Smiljan, Austrian Empire. Then now it's Croatia. And so he was actually unknowingly, he didn't know that he was from Venus, was the idea. He grew up with these parents and he thought that he was their child. But he had the Venusian brain capacity, which is much larger than ours. Val Valiant Thor, a Venusian, was able to learn and be fluent in many, many, many different languages. I think over 100 Earth languages. And Tesla himself was a polyglot. He could speak fluently 6 or 7 languages. So it all sort of makes sense that he was receiving blueprints from Venus telepathically. He said himself, "My brain is a receiver." He did not fucking say, "I'm a genius." He never said, "I'm a genius." Other people said, "Tesla's a genius." That's not what he said. He said my brain is a receiver. He's getting blueprints in his head, and he's like, hey, this is interesting. Turns them over, goes, I think I could build this. He builds it. It works.
Wow.
Obviously, he's a smart fella, but he got the blueprints, and he got them because the Venusians are trying to help us. They're trying to help us, these silly, foolish, naked apes running around with small brains, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And they sent Tesla to help us. And guess what? We crucified him.
Yeah. Well, it almost sounds like Superman. You know how Superman came from another planet and was raised by some farmers, you know, unsuspecting Superman had all these powers.
Right.
Sounds a whole lot like Tesla.
Absolutely. 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 I mean, but this must be the theme. If we look at history, we see this over and over. One person, one woman, one man comes out and just like comes out with this incredible information, and people go, oh my God. And some people accept it, and it becomes this huge thing. And then slowly history just shuts it down, and then it's relegated to myth. It's a legend. It's just some crazy stuff. Oh, Tesla was in love with a pigeon. He must have been just some lunatic. Don't worry about his patents. I posted on Facebook, Tesla's patents. That was my post. It's a link to Tesla's complete patents. I didn't say anything about it. I got 90-day suspension for that.
Wow. It's interesting when we pay attention to the things that are being censored off of social media, because it's things like that.
Yep.
You know, it's stuff that you wouldn't think would be censored, but those are the things they're going after.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's easy to do it. All they have to do is hit a button and it shuts our channels down, you know. Absolutely. Now, Gavin in the chat, he said, why are we seeing cryptic creatures' faces in stone with eyes, mouths, and other shapes, Jock? This is what I really wanted to get into with you today too. I mean, I have a million things I'd love to talk with you about, but for the sake of today's show, I thought we would talk about some of these stone giants, potentially petrified stone giants that we're seeing all over the world, from people like titans is what they're calling them, to tree stumps, which are referred to as mesas, and to animals like snakes and elephants and things that appear to be frozen in stone. Okay. What is your take on all of that?
All right. So there's two things that I could possibly contribute to this. So I'm just a playwright, so I don't really know the answer, but you know, I prefer to be writing stories and fairy tales about dragons. We can
still talk about it.
But I'm just saying, you know, I'm not claiming any kind of authority on this. I'm just saying there's two ideas that I've had about this that seem to make sense, and possibly people could look at this. All right, so we have not just stone beings, but giant stone beings, humans, animals, fungi, plants, insects, all across the planet. In general, they're upright and they're looking out over a vista. For instance, in this one that you just pulled up, they're upright. This being, this stone being, this crystallized, mineralized being, is giant and looking out over a vista, fully upright. Now, if there was a flood that fossilized giant beings on our planet, if there was a mud flood, just a global flood or a global mud flood, none of these stone beings would be upright and looking out over a vista. They'd all be chaotically strewn about, probably on their sides or on their backs, or in some chaotic. Virtually 95% of the giant stone beings of all species throughout the animal and plant and fungi kingdoms are upright. And most of those, I'd say 90% of those, are looking out over a vista. They're not looking back at the hill. They're looking out over a valley or a vista. And you say, this looks like a fucking art museum to me. It looks like someone placed them there. And it even looks like most of them, the great majority of these stone beings of whatever species, they look peaceful. They don't look like they've been thrown into some chaotic flood where they then became fossilized. It looks like almost like they made some kind of decision to become fossilized, which is to say, that's our sort of crude word for what they become. They become crystallized. And we understand from Tesla, let's bring Tesla back in, that the crystallized, the crystalline mineral earth is alive because crystals are alive. Stone beings have their own life because crystals are alive. Tesla told us this. He said that although we cannot understand the life of a crystal, it is nonetheless a living being. Therefore, we understand that crystalline stone beings have a life of their own, just like the earth has a life of its own, because it's crystalline. Why would crystals have a life? Well, because the nature of the crystalline composition is a perfectly layered, meaning let's say horizontally layered material that's not askew. It's not from layer to layer. It's not doing this. It's always the same geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, frequency, when it enters the crystal, bounces back and forth between these perfectly horizontal or perfectly layered layers, right?
Uh-huh.
The resonance of the crystal stays. The frequency keeps going back and forth. If one of these layers was off, it would zoom out and get bounced away. It stays inside the crystal. That's why crystals are used for memory for computers. That's
and
why
watches.
that's why Vanessa Lyle said that the temple complex beneath the pyramid complex in Bosnia, because there's an older complex there. This is new information, by the way. The temple complex that's beneath the Bosnian pyramid complex was built by the Lyrans, and the Bosnian pyramid complex above it was built by the Anunnaki and by other races, Egoni and other races that came through great spans of time. So the temple complex that no one knows about, because Vanessa's the only one, she just came up with it. She channeled it a few sessions ago when I asked her. She says that in that temple complex, there were chambers where priests, we would call them priests, had ceremonies where they took the memories of a person and they put them into a large crystal, and the crystal was the keeper of the records. So the life of a person, all the memories of that person were kept in that crystal, and then they do it again. And there was this deep chamber, the deepest chamber in the temple complex below the Bosnian Pyramid complex was for the keeping of the records in crystals, the records of lives lived. So crystalline material in stone beings could be said to be a resonant form that allows life to continue, that allows memory to continue. And therefore we ask ourselves, since we're in third density and we're in this sort of solid, heavy, thick matrix that advanced races call something like moving through jello or mud. They don't like it too much. It's so thick. What happens in the fifth density where you have this giant crystalline being that peacefully standing there looking out over a vista? What happens in fifth density? Are they still stuck in stasis, or are they actually somehow potentized? Is their life sort of magnified in fifth density where they can be free? Let's say that's just a word I'm using, but where they can be not kept in what we would call a prison of rock, but somehow magnified by this crystalline material, and then somehow freed to be more than they could be in third density.
Oh my gosh, my mind is blown right now. And that's why I keep such an open mind about all of this stuff, because there's something more to it. And I just haven't been able to put my finger on it. But I think that you're helping to unravel some of these mysteries, Jock. This is amazing.
Well, Jessica, thank you for that. I'm just, like I said, I'm a playwright, so I have an imagination, and I'm imagining. I'm just thinking what makes sense. We have these giant beings. Why do we have giant beings, first of all? And there's two things I want to say, and then I'm done with anything that I could contribute to the stone beings argument. Okay. One is, why are there giant beings? Well, it's simple. Giant beings across all categories of life in all kingdoms, fungi, plants, animals. We have giant humans, giant human footprints. We have megalithic females and males all across the planet. And so I've documented that. So many, many, many people. Why are they so big? Well, academia tells us that it's because there was more oxygen in the past. And it's like, well, that's a good theory. I like that theory. But what would really be a better theory than that, and perhaps in combination with the higher oxygen theory, is to simply look at the fact of the expanding Earth. So right now we have an extremely high gravity planet that is, because it has expanded from a much smaller Earth in the distant past. And because of this high gravity, all the organisms across the board became smaller. So insects, dragonflies that used to be 2 feet wide in their wingspan are now this big. And people who used to be 27 feet, 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet are now 6 feet, 5.5 feet. We're responding to Earth's gravity. So we have such a strong gravitational force. All of life is responding to this force. When the planet was 27% of its original mass back in the Archean era, this is James Maxlow. Go find his website, jamesmaxlow.com, and expansiontectonics.com. These 2 websites. 27% of Earth's present diameter is what the Archean Earth was, according to the data, not according to academic nonsense and the fairy tale of the same sized Earth over time. But real data shows that we had a rocky ball, no oceans, but Pangea smushed down and collected around as a rocky ball, no oceans at all, seams between those, seams along that then became the definitions, the demarcations between what we call continents. And as the volcanic material came up and spread the continents apart, continents remain intact. We get more and more gravity. Why? Because the mass is increasing. Why? Because the sun is giving us ionized particles every single second that collect in the mantle. And as the mantle swells, the crust, which is attached to the mantle, cracks, the volcanic material comes up, expands the seabeds. Day by day, day by day, day by day, a centimeter a year, let's say, 2 centimeters a year max. It was microns in the distant past. And this continents stay the same. The built continents stay the same as the seabeds increase. So the mass of the continent of the Earth, and therefore the gravity of the Earth, long time ago, let's say Jurassic time, we all know the Jurassic, was so much smaller. It was about, let's say, the size of Mars back in Jurassic times. It was about half the size of Earth. That's what James Maxwell says. So we have these massive Tyrannosaurus rexes and brontosauruses, and because we have a lower gravity Earth, there's no problem. If you put a brontosaurus or a Tyrannosaurus rex on the Earth now, both James Maxwell and the late Wallace Thornhill say they could not get up, much less walk. They would just lie there and go, I can't handle this gravity. My muscles are not able to handle this fucking gravity from your huge expanded Earth. So academia is missing the expanded Earth, and therefore all they have is, well, there was higher oxygen in the past and everything grew bigger. Okay, well, that's like this much of the theory. We need a bigger theory to explain why there were giant beings, fossilized, and the paleontologists find those fossilized giant beings just laying down. But then we have the stone beings, which are upright and looking out over a vista. And Jessica Jones, you tell me, why are 90+% of these stone beings upright and looking out over a vista all across the Earth? Giant beings.
Maybe they were looking at something incoming, or watching the beautiful sunset. Who knows? Yeah, something. That's what I do every day. I watch the sunset whenever I can. Okay, so just something beautiful, and it keeps me calm and makes me happy. And that's what I'd like to see in my last moments if I had the chance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Don't they generally have a feeling of peace, these giant stone beings?
Yeah, absolutely. All of them. They don't look like they're terrorized.
Oh.
I've never even thought of that, Jock. That's not something that I've even noticed. I just was perplexed as to how there's so many of these. They seem suspended in animation.
I know. But they're they're very Buddha-esque. They're just like, and they're just looking straight out. Generally,
yes.
The snakes in general look down. The turtles, I've seen them look up the hill, but virtually all 99%, except for the turtles, they're looking out, and the snakes are looking down. That's what I've seen. Now, if you guys want to go check out Bruno Testi's photos from France, there's a little forest. I don't even know if it's that little. Let's say it's called a medium-sized forest, about 30 kilometers south of Paris. And you're like, there's a forest south of Paris, 30 kilometers. That's pretty cool. You can just zip down 20 minutes and you're in a forest. Yeah, you can. And you just go into this forest called the Forest of Fontainebleau. 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 And he takes photos from this forest. And what he finds is a museum of giant stone beings, reptiles, snakes, fish, humans with elongated skulls, giant, huge skulls that are like 10 feet tall. And they're just sitting upright along this path. A fish is sitting upright. A fish that should be on its side is just sitting upright, looking out over across the path. And everywhere you go, it's a museum of giant artifacts. And guess what academia has to say about the Forest of Fontainebleau artifacts? Nothing. Zero.
Well, that's something for all of us to look into. And I know my audience is very inquisitive and they will be doing their research. Now, Enzo has an interesting question. Are they facing specific star configurations during equinoxes? That's kind of interesting too.
This is great. This is what we need. This is what happens when we get outside of academia's box. We start asking great questions, I mean, how much fun is it to be outside of academia? It's fantastic.
Way more fun than in it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it is. A lot of things are coming full circle, Amy. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And I mean, this has been a fantastic show today, Jock. And I think that we've covered a lot of interesting topics. I would love to bring you back on sometime soon, and definitely even have you on Spaced Out Radio soon. I know Dave called me before the show today. I think he'd like to have you on his show as well.
I'd love it. Yeah. Because you have great energy. Let me just say one quick thing more for your audience about stone beings, because this ties in with the continental terraforming theory. So it's like, if you want to come full circle, let's do it right now with 2 sentences. Okay, ready? The eroded crystalline material, the little granules that eroded over billions and billions of years as the continental concrete was affected by cold and heat and wind and water. These little granules collected in the fossil beds, but we also have the granules collecting across the land. And when my theory is that the crystalline material that composes the giant stone beings all across the world, the upright, peaceful, Buddha-esque stone beings in the animal kingdom and the humans, the giant humans, all that material must have come from the original continental concrete. So just like with the mineral content of paleontologically discovered fossils, the T-Rex that's lying there in the sedimentary layer, just like that crystalline material, the material of the stone beings must have come from the continental concrete. That's a theory. I don't know. But so what that means is that the original planet builders gave us material that was not just going to give us a thriving biosphere. They said, hey, let's make it crystalline, all sorts of different types, and that'll allow plants and algae to survive, and that'll give us the animals ability to survive, and that'll, so we all need the original life is in the crystals. So it's not just dead rock that becomes a living plant. It's a living crystalline planet, beautifully formed with incredible topography in the continents, that's giving us the living biosphere, the beautiful biosphere, and the water running through in these, artificial water courses. And then that crystalline material can also be used, no doubt. This was part of the plan of the original builders of the continents, for the transmutation of beings who wanted to be transformed wanted to be given a crystalline immortality, let's say, as stone beings that look out over a vista in their last moments. They're peaceful, looking out, as you say, over the sunset toward the horizon. And then their whole life and all of their memories are forever encapsulated in that structure. And then, as I said, perhaps that crystalline mineral life from the original continental material, the original continental concrete that was made of living crystalline material, could expand out into the fifth dimension instead of being decayed as most life is and disappeared into the earth as soil. They're immortalized in these forms that can then continue to live in other densities.
Wow. Wow. You know, I have an affinity of taking, I always have quartz, okay, quartz crystals. And every investigation that I go on, Jock, for when I do Bigfooting research and investigations, I always pick up a beautiful piece of quartz and I
Yeah.
bring it home with me from every single investigation I go to. My son, as a matter of fact, picked up he has a whole box of quartz from where a portal opened up, and our team actually documented a portal. And so we have crystals, and from every place that I go that it's important to me, I take a piece of quartz. I never really knew why, other than I love quartz for some reason, but it's those crystals, and it's holding that memory of. And now is a hologram going to show up in my house one day of a Bigfoot from one of those places? Probably. Who knows?
I mean, but we're at the very beginning of our knowledge, because we've stepped outside of academia's box. Here we are. The internet has helped us immensely. And now we're doing what Truman did in the Truman Show. We're putting our hand against the wall of the set and we're going, oh my God, it's a set. That's where we are. So we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves if we don't know every answer. Let's continue to search for the answers. It's fun.
That's right. That's what we're doing. We're having fun doing it. I am having a blast, Jock. Forrest Louis, thank you for that super sticker. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we have a lot of fun here, and I really do, Jock. I hope you'll come back and hang out with me some more, and we're gonna continue this conversation in the future. I'm not going to keep you here all day. I just realized I've scheduled 2 other live shows today, so I've got more shows to do. Like I said, I'm having fun spreading the knowledge, and just not that I'm not an expert in anything, but I sure do like to tell my stories, just like you do, and I love it. Now, where can people find you, Jock? Can you give my audience your YouTube channel, perhaps? I've got some things to pull up on the screen while you tell us.
Okay,
well, here we go. There's your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, so if you guys just go to that and look for Artificial Riverbeds playlist, that's pretty much the fun. That's like 50 videos of maybe 30 rivers that creek beds that it shows the buildings, the artificial riverbeds, and that's really all you need. If you want to leave a comment, if you feel like you need to write to me. If you need to write to a playwright, if you feel it's your destiny to write to a playwright who just happens to have this crazy idea, and which I don't think anyone needs to write to a playwright. I'm just a guy writing plays. I mean, what do I know? But if you really need to and you really want to, then you can write me at jock.terra at protonmail.com, and that's a good. It's presumably one of those email addresses that Proton Mail is supposed to be. You can't really view it like Google, and all the bad folks can't read our correspondence. That's the idea. They probably still can, but we're doing our best. So there, you can get me there, or let's see, go to my Bosnian Pyramids channel, and I never go over there. Just check out the videos and then make your own videos. Go to Bosnia yourself. Become the explorer that the Indiana Jones that you admire. You admire these crazy adventurers, right? So become that, because it's time for us to embody all of this this adventure that we admire in others. This risk taking that we admire in others. Jessica Jones is a risk taker, and she's admired by a lot of people. Well, let's become like her. Let's not just sit back and look at her doing stuff. Go Jessica, take the risks for us. No, let's all go out and go, hey, what can I contribute? What can my perspective contribute to humanity's awakening?
Thank you, Jock. I think you're way too modest about what you're doing too. Okay. So I have a feeling you're going to have people contacting you to come on their shows. I mean, like I said, your presentation was my favorite. Don't tell anybody, okay? I mean, but they were all amazing at the Journey to Truth conference. But I just really resonated with what you were putting out to us. And Amy, thank you so much for that super sticker. I just love you, and thank you so much for your support. And for everybody who gave their support today, just being here in the chat, and for the super stickers and super chats, I want to thank. I have the best audience in the entire world, and you guys are amazing, and you keep us going and keep the fire under our feet, and it's just having this community to come and throw out ideas to us, Jock. I mean, the comments in the chat were amazing today, and so I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Y'all go subscribe to Jock's YouTube channel, and follow all of his work, please. And yeah, Jock, I will see you again soon, my dear. I hope that I'll have you back here soon.
I would love it. And just a final quick word based on what you said about how you resonate with all this. And I asked Goran Marjanovic, the Serbian electrical engineer who studied the scalar waves from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, the beam that's coming out of there. It's a 28 kilohertz electrical beam, 9 meters at the base, and then 21 meters, 9 meters, 21 meters. So it's going up with a repeated ellipsoid electrical form, but it's also got a scalar component. So you're studying the scalar waves. Anyway, I interviewed him on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, which has the beam that goes up. And he said, we're talking about resonance. And I said, are people antennas? And he thought about it, and he goes, resonators. I think resonators is a better word. That's what he said. So we're just like the mountains. See this mountain right here? That's a resonator. That's a scalar wave resonator. Every mountain is doing that. That's why it was built, to be a scalar wave resonator. Every person was built to be a scalar wave resonator, and a resonator of many other frequencies. Yeah. We're all terraformed. We're all created by really, really, really smart, benevolent people. So this is good news that we're resonators just like the mountains. We're resonators just like the pyramids. And it's because of our crystalline nature, our crystalline matrix. The crystalline matrix is the matrix that will explode the thought control matrix put into existence by dark forces. Aho.
Wow. So you guys go collect your quartz crystals yourselves, okay? And yeah, I'm getting some this weekend. I'm going out with my team a little bit to do some research, and next weekend too. And I'll be home with some more quartz. And I resonate completely. And I hope the audience resonated with this show today. I know y'all did. All right, Jock. Thank you so much again. You are amazing. I just love you to death. Okay. Okay. Well, everybody, y'all join me tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have my friend Farah from Conversation Cabin coming on. I've remote viewed her property, and we're going on a big investigation in the next couple of weeks to go check out her cave on her property, and Dogman and Sasquatch activity out there. So until next time, you guys have a wonderful day. And I'm sending out all my love and light to every one of you guys, and I'll see y'all next time. Thank you, Jock. Bye, y'all.